Chapter 12 of The Trail of the Lonesome Pine. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Trail of the Lonesome Pine by John Fox, Jr. Chapter 12. June did not have to be awakened that morning. At the first clarion call of the old rooster behind the cabin, her eyes opened wide and a happy thrill tingled her from head to foot. Why? She didn't at first quite realize, and then she stretched her slender round arms to full length above her head, and with a little squeal of joy bounded out of the bed, dressed as she was when she went into it, and with no changes to make except to push back her tangled hair. Her father was out feeding the stock, and she could hear her stepmother in the kitchen. Bub still slept soundly, and she shook him by the shoulder. "Get up, Bub." "No way," said Bub fretfully. Again she started to shake him, but stopped. Bud wasn't going to the Gap, so she let him sleep. For a little while she looked down at him, at his round, rosy face, and his frowsy hair from under which protruded one dirty fist. She was going to leave him, and a fresh tenderness for him made her breast heave. But she did not kiss him, for sisterly kisses are hardly known in the hills. Then she went out into the kitchen to help her stepmother. "Getting mighty busy all of a sudden, ain't ye?" said the sour old woman. "Now that ye are goin' away." "'Tain't costin' you nothin'," answered June quietly, and she picked up a pail and went out into the frosty, shivering daybreak to the old well. The chain froze her fingers, the cold water splashed her feet, and when she had tugged her heavy burden back to the kitchen, she held her red, chapped hands to the fire. "Reckon you'll be mighty glad to get shed of me," the old woman sniffled, and June looked around with a start. "'Pears like I'm going to miss you right smart," she quavered, and June's face colored with a new feeling toward her stepmother. "I'm going to have a hard time doing all the work, and me so poorly." "Loretta is comin' over to help ye if you get sick," said June, hardening again, "or I'll come back myself." She got out the dishes and set them on the table. "You and me didn't get along very well together," she went on placidly. "I never heerd of no stepmother and children as did, and I reckon you'll be mighty glad to get shed of me." "'Pears I'm going to miss you right smart," repeated the old woman meekly. June went out to the stable with the milking pail. Her father had spread fodder for the cow, and she could hear the rasping of the ears of corn against each other as he tumbled them into the trough for the old sorrel. She put her head against the cow's soft flank, and under her sinewy fingers two streams of milk struck the bottom of the tin pail with such thundering loudness that she did not hear her father's step. But when she rose to make the beast put back her right leg, she saw him looking at her. "I'm going to milk her, pap, after I'm gone." "That's the first time you thought of that?" June put her fleshed cheek back to the flank of the cow. It was not the first time she had thought of that. Her stepmother would milk, and if she were ill, her father or Loretta. She had not meant to ask that question. She was wondering when they would start. That was what she meant to ask, and she was glad that she had swerved. Breakfast was eaten in the usual silence by the boy and the man, June and the stepmother serving it, and waiting on the Lord that was and the Lord that was to be. And then the two females sat down. "Hurry up, June," said the old man, wiping his mouth and beard with the back of his hand. "Clear away the dishes and get ready. Hale said he'd meet us at the Pine an hour by sun, for I told him I had to get back to work. Hurry up now." June hurried up. She was too excited to eat anything, so she began to wash the dishes while her stepmother ate. Then she went into the living room to pack her things, and it didn't take long. She wrapped the doll Hale had given her in the extra petticoat, wound one pair of yarn stockings around a pair of coarse shoes, tied them up into one bundle, and she was ready. Her father appeared with the sorrel horse, caught up his saddle from the porch, threw it on, and stretched the blanket behind it as a pillion for June to ride on. "Let's go," he said. There is little or no demonstrativeness in the domestic relations of mountaineers. The kiss of courtship is the only one known. There were no good byes, only that short "Let's go." June sprang behind her father from the porch. The stepmother handed her the bundle, which she clutched in her lap, and they simply rode away, the stepmother and Bub silently gazing after them. But June saw the boy's mouth working, and when she turned the thicket at the creek, She looked back at the two quiet figures, and a keen pain cut her heart. She shut her mouth closely, gripped her bundle more tightly, and the tears streamed down her face. But the man did not know. They climbed in silence. Sometimes her father dismounted where the path was steep, but June sat on the horse to hold the bundle, and thus they mounted through the mist and chill of the morning. A shout greeted them from the top of the little spur whence the big Pine was visible, and up there they found Hale waiting. He had reached the Pine earlier than they, and was coming down to meet them. "Hello, little girl," called Hale cheerily. "You didn't fail me, did you?" June shook her head and smiled. Her face was blue, and her little legs, dangling under the bundle, were shrinking from the cold. Her bonnet had fallen to the back of her neck, and he saw that her hair was parted and gathered in a psych knot at the back of her head, giving her a quaint old look when she stood on the ground in her crimson gown. Hale had not forgotten a pillion, and there the transfer was made. Hale lifted her behind his saddle and handed up her bundle. "I'll take good care of her," he said. "All right," said the old man, "and I'm coming over soon to fix up that coal matter, and I'll let you know how she's getting on." "All right. Good-bye," said Hale. "I wish you well," said the mountaineer. "Be a good girl, Junie, and do what Mr. Hale thar tells ye." "All right, pap." And thus they parted. June felt the power of Hale's big black horse with exultation the moment he started. "Now we're off," said Hale gaily, and he patted the little hand that was about his waist. "Give me that bundle." "I can carry it." "No, you can't, not with me." And when he reached around for it and put it on the cantle of his saddle, June thrust her left hand into his overcoat pocket, and Hale laughed. "Loretta wouldn't ride with me this way." "Loretta ain't got much sense," drawled June complacently. "'Tain't no harm, but don't you tell me. I don't want to hear nothin' about Loretta anyway." Again Hale laughed, and June laughed too. Imp that she was just pretending to be jealous now. She could see the big Pine over his shoulder. "I've knowed that tree since I was a little girl, since I was a baby," she said, and the tone of her voice was new to Hale. "Sister Sally used to tell me lots about that old tree." Hale waited, but she stopped again. "What did she tell you?" "She used to say hit was curious that hit could be way up here all alone, that she recollected it ever since she was a baby, and she used to come up here and talk to it, and she said sometimes she could hear it just a whisperin' to her when she was down home in the cove." "What did she say it said?" "She said it was always a whisperin', 'Come, come, come.'" June crooned the words. "And after she died, I'd hear the folks sayin' as how she riz up in bed with her eyes right wide, and sayin', 'I hears it. It's a whisperin'. I hears it. Come, come, come.'" And still Hale kept quiet when she stopped again. "The Red Fox said it was the spirits, but I knowed when they told me that she was a thinkin' of the old tree there. But I never let on. I reckon that's one reason made me come here that day." They were close to the big tree now, and Hale dismounted to fix his girth for the descent. "Well, I'm mighty glad you came, little girl. I might never seen you." "That's so," said June. "I saw the print of your foot in the mud right there." "Did ye?" "And if I hadn't, I might never have gone down into Lonesome Cove." June laughed. "You ran from me," Hale went on. "Yes, I did, and that's why you follered me." Hale looked up quickly. Her face was demure, but her eyes danced. She was an aged little thing. "Why did you run?" "I thought your fishing pole was a rifle gun, and that you was a raider." Hale laughed. "I see. Remember when you let your horse drink?" Hale nodded. "Well, I was on the rock above the creek lookin' down at ye, and I seed ye catchin' miners, and I thought you was goin' up the crick lookin' fer a still." "Weren't you afraid of me then?" "Huh?" she said contemptuously. "I wasn't afeared of you at all, 'cept fer what you might find out. You couldn't do no harm to nobody without a gun, and I knowed there wasn't no still up that crick. I knowed where it was." Hale noticed the quick change of tense. "Won't you take me up to see it sometime?" "No," she said sharply, and Hale